own, rent, or trash. If you don't know what this is, in the chat, I will be providing 3 different films, and they have to choose whether they would own it, which means you'd watch it a lot. Rent it means like you'd watch it, you like it, but you don't necessarily like it's like in the middle tier. And then trash is absolute garbage. You don't want to ever see it, and just throw it away. So we'll begin with these are all video game adaptations from last year, from 2023. We have Five Nights at Freddy's, we have the Super Mario Brothers movie, and we have Gran Turismo. Is it Turismo or Turismo? I never knew.
I'm not sure, actually.
So first we'll start with Sam, and then we'll go with Jackson, and then the next time we'll do it in the opposite. So Jackson will go after Sam. Sam will. You get what I'm saying.
I was gonna say, Tracy, I've actually not seen any of these 3 movies. Now, this is funny. When I was coming back, like on the plane back from like New York and stuff, Super Mario Brothers, the movie, I think I was really enjoying like what I saw for like the first 40 minutes. And then, I was just so tired. I think I had like a nap and stuff. And it's not because of the movie. I was really enjoying the movie. I was just exhausted and stuff. And I've not seen Five Nights at Freddy's. I didn't really have much planning seeing it because I was hearing really not so good reviews and that. But it could be one maybe just have like like a few drinks and just like watch it and stuff, and just maybe I could get some enjoyment out of it. Who knows? It could be like a Batman Forever or Batman and Robin scenario, and and Gran Turismo. That was meant to be okay. I think that was meant to be a decent watch. So, but I've not seen like any of those 3 films in entirety, Tracy. So I don't really know what to praise, rent, or trash out of these 3.
That's fine. Even if you haven't seen any of them, or if you haven't seen one or whatever, just like gut instinct. Like if you had to choose now, and this is also just as interesting.
Yeah. Oh, it's a really fun game, Tracy. Definitely. I really enjoy this. So let me think. So I think I'd go trash, Five Nights at Freddy's. I think I would rent Gran Turismo, and what was the other option again, Tracy?
Trash. Own, rent, and trash.
Okay, and then I'll go on Super Mario Brothers. I'll go with that one. The movie, yeah.
Very nice. And before Jackson goes, King of the Manti says that feels like a contest between PC, Nintendo, and Sony PlayStation.
That's awesome.
Yeah, very true.
Pretty much, yeah.
Cool.
What would you be yours? And there are no wrong answers. This is all opinions, and yeah.
Yeah, so I've only seen one of these 3. I actually wasn't huge on it. That's the Super Mario Bros. Movie. I don't know. I just kind of wish, like, as bad as that 90s movie is, it's really just weird, and it's like somebody's own creative vision. Whereas this new Super Mario Bros. Movie it felt to me like it was too close to the game. It was just trying to be like an extension of that. Mm-hmm. So, but I might actually put that first, just because like there's some funny stuff in it. Like Jack Black was really good. The Donkey Kong scene, there was some fun stuff. But I'll put that own, and then I would probably rent Five Nights at Freddy's, just because I'm a little curious. And plus I'm more of a horror fan than anything else. But I still am kind of curious to check that out, even though I haven't heard the best things. And then trash Gran Turismo. Nothing against it really. I don't know. I'm not super interested.
No, that's totally fair. And to be honest, like I actually had a great time with Five Nights at Freddy's, and I think good. I don't know if it's just because it was such like. I mean, I've never played the games or anything like that, and I wasn't expecting the environment to be what it was when I saw it. It was like all fans of the games that like came to see it that opening weekend, and it was like spooky season, and people got really into it, and like. I think that the visual effects were really good too. So, and I think it's just like a fun party Halloween type of vibe. I don't know. Like for me, I liked Gran Turismo a lot, but it didn't like blow me away. It was just like, okay, like you told the story and it was well done, and that's it. And then Super Mario Brothers was obviously a nostalgia fest, and I wound up playing the game so much around that time period because different Mario games, because I was just like in that world again. I think I'm curious to see what they do with the second Super Mario Brothers movie that comes out, because I feel like the first one kind of had to just be like a nostalgia fest, because otherwise people would be disappointed. And I feel like they would rather play it safe and be like, here's this, remember this, than be like, have fans be like, what was that? So
Right.
I'm gonna actually trash Gran Turismo, even though it's a well-made film and it's not bad. I will rent Super Mario Brothers, and I will probably own Five Nights at Freddy's, because again, if it's like around Halloween, you can literally just throw it on and like have some drinks and like not pay attention, and it's fun. So that's what I would do. We got John Automates in the chat, so we got to say hi to him. Gran Turismo own, Mario rent, and get that Five Nights out of here. Gran Turismo is an actual movie, plot and character development and all. It is, but
Okay,
I don't know how much I would rewatch it though, because after you learn the story, it's like, wow, that's really cool.
And that's it.
Yeah.
Sure.
And David Harbour like really made that movie like shine. So cool. Oh, we got Huck. I gotta say hi to Huck because he was on last week and I saw his stream earlier, and he does a lot of trivia on his channel. Love this game. I'd go Mario, Freddy's, and Turismo. So own and then rent Freddy's and trash Turismo. Yeah, everyone's pretty divisive on this one. Oh, we got Hunter. Hail to NFG. Like the video. Hail everyone else as well. Thank you so much, guys. And thank you, John, for acknowledging. Yes, it is an easy Halloween throw on. And that song, there's like that song they used to play in the trailers too. It's like it's a very 80s party type of song. So get you in the groove for spooky season. We have 3 more, gentlemen. So we've got 3 not necessarily the best M. Night Shyamalan films, but you have to own, rent, and trash.
Right.
Okay.
This
is so I'm a huge M. Night fan. And I will defend a lot of M. Night's bad movies actually, but there's 2 on here that I won't defend. I love Trap. It's one of my favorite films of the year actually.
Cool.
I just thought it was super fun. I get the complaints people have, especially about the third act and kind of the way the pacing changes a little bit after the big set piece gets wrapped up. But it worked really well for me. So I definitely own that one. I think I would rent The Happening, just because it's not one of my favorite M. Night movies at all, but there's so much like just bizarre, interesting dialogue and choices that I'm like, oh, I definitely want to watch this again and figure out like where was he really coming from on this one? What was he thinking? Like just the bizarre Zoe Deschanel performance and Mark Wahlberg and all that. It's just interesting. But and then I would trash Lady in the Water. It's I think it was the most recent M. Night film I caught up with, and it's the only one I would call like really pretentious, because I mean he's kind of like casting himself as like as like the savior of the guy who's going to like write this great text that's going to save the world and everything. There's just a lot of like just like very lofty like stuff in that one. So I would definitely trash that one.
Very good. Good choices all around. What about you, Sam?
Do you know what? Basically, I've heard a lot of pretty bad things about like The Happening and stuff. But I think just hearing about the concept and the premise has always intrigued me. And if I was to own it, I would be like, I can't believe it's happening. There we go, another one. Another terrible joke there, lol. And Jackson's loving this.
I am.
I'm really glad you are, mate. And I was going to say, I've heard pretty divisive things about Trap, but I think I would go rent Trap because I think it's one of those that I'm open to giving like a watch. And like there's some movies out there that I would just say no chance I wouldn't like watch stuff. But I think that one's the one that's a bit divisive, and I am a bit open to watching that one. And I forget Lady in the Water. It's just a film that's never really like intrigued me and stuff. And I've heard not the best things about it. So I think I'll just go with something like that.
Yeah, Lady in the Water is kind of like a more like boring version of sort of what he was going for with the village, like with the sort of folk stuff as well. That one's just kind of bizarre, but yeah.
I have heard it's very boring, Lady in the Water. I have not seen it though. D. Marcel, he says, what are these new movies coming out soon? Or are they already out? I've never heard of any of these. These are all M. Night Shyamalan films. So they weren't like the most famous ones of his, but they are definitely in his oeuvre of film. Yeah, I feel like I'm with you guys on Trap because I feel there's a pivotal moment. Well, and I know like there is a pivotal moment in that movie where it kind of goes haywire, and like I feel like I was on board for most of the time, and then when that change happens, it's like, oh, because his concepts sometimes are so good, and then it's the execution in the third act. It's like, what? The Happening is also one of those things where it's like I liked the concept a lot, and you know, the whole I don't think there were many horror films like now. You see it a lot now, but back then I don't think there were a lot where you would see just people just offing themselves, and I think that visually was like pretty shocking at the time. And Lady in the Water I haven't seen, but yeah, what were you gonna say?
Oh, I was just gonna say, like, I like what you said about The Happening, because I think I mean, those sequences of people like throwing themselves off buildings and all that, like they kind of get made fun of a lot just in their execution. But I do think there is something like genuinely like creepy about that idea. It's kind of like what you said. Like sometimes his concepts are amazing. It's just the execution is a little shaky.
Yeah. And now you're seeing even with like Smile and things like that, that's like the very similar concept that I feel like we hadn't seen till that. So I would probably own Trap just because Josh Hartnett is great in it. The Happening I would rent and then trash Lady in the Water. Let's see here. We got John Automate says, my only issue with M. Night is that he starts off so good so often and then it just goes away by the end. But what do I know? I defend Zack Snyder of all people.
I mean, there's a lot of cases where I might disagree with that. Like The Village, for example. I know a lot of people hate the twist to The Village. I think that twist like makes the movie.
I like that.
I think, there's examples where I think it works, but like, but I totally get like where a lot of people are coming from with those criticisms too. So.
Yeah, I think I'm trying to think. I don't think I've seen too many M. Night films. The one that's springing to mind is probably acclaimed as his best film. I'm not sure if it was his like debut film as well, like The Sixth Sense, which I've only seen it like the once. So it's definitely overdue a rewatch. But and I wouldn't mind checking out Unbreakable, but I think it like since then, so like since like maybe the late 90s, it's just a bit of an inconsistent track record from there. You get maybe one solid film, one very average film, and one very like kind of bad film. So it's kind of like hit and miss from there. But he's got a lot of intriguing ideas, hasn't he, Tracy? But some of which just not being as executed as well as maybe some people were hoping for. So definitely. But I can't really comment on that director's work as a whole, really, because there's still a fair few of his films like I've not seen. But I'd say, The Happening, Unbreakable, and I definitely need to rewatch him, The Sixth Sense, sometime, definitely.
Yeah.
I think you'd really dig Unbreakable. Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard it's good.
Yeah.
I agree, Jackson. And have you guys seen Split or Glass?
I actually love that whole trilogy. Like I know people like who kind of have mixed feelings on different ones, or especially like I think the most common opinion is that Glass kind of ruins it. I don't know. I really like Glass as well, but have you seen all three?
I haven't. I've only seen Split. I need to watch both Glass and Unbreakable.
Okay. Yeah, no, it's interesting. I mean, like I think you can kind of watch the first two in any order. Like the fact that you've seen Split first, like of course, Split kind of gives away at the end that they're all connected, and then Unbreakable is definitely its own thing, and then Glass you kind of have to go into having seen the first two, and then just kind of, you know, the way they're brought together I think is really interesting. But I understand why people have issues with that one as well.
Okay, I've heard similar things for sure. Okay. So this is in honor of Jeff Goldblum. It's his birthday today. He's 72. So these are
wow.
3 Jeff Goldblum movies: The Fly, Jurassic Park, Independence Day. And I'm gonna just block my screen real quick. I have to open the window. It is like 1,000 degrees in Manhattan today. I don't know what is going on. It's October. It's like 82 degrees. So I'll be right back to open my window. But you can start, Sam.
No worries. Yeah. Shockingly, Jackson, I've never seen Independence Day.
Oh wow,
that's a bit of a shock. I'm thinking about possibly doing another video where there's another like 10 films that I've shockingly never seen, and that's like one of them. So I probably would have to trash like obviously that film there, Independence Day, but I haven't seen it. But it's definitely one of I'd be open to watching, but just to choose, I'd probably have to trash that, and then I would go rent The Fly. I still love it, but obviously that would be one I could just happily rent, and then obviously to pick two, I could happily just like it just be one I'd have to pass on something. But yeah, really great film still, and I don't mind the original, but it's one of those films, perfect examples for me, where in my personal opinion, like the remake sort of like elevates the idea and the premise of what the original had to offer, and Cronenberg just absolutely ran with it, with his vision with that. It's really, really great. But yeah, I'm gonna have to go on Jurassic Park. It's just one of the greatest films ever. Just stands the test of time. Hasn't dated, and it's aged like fine wine. It's just a absolute staple of like Hollywood cinema, and it's like when you look at a lot of the blockbusters coming out today, Jackson, there's still a lot of great blockbusters every now and then, but like that is just next level stuff, isn't it, bud?
It is. I mean, like they don't really. I think people forget too how smart Jurassic Park is. I mean, it's written by Michael Crichton, who's like a really kind of like hard sci-fi author.
Yeah,
and yeah, I mean, like you mentioned how it's aged well, like especially with like AI and stuff now, there's so much that it has to say about like, what's the Jeff Goldblum quote? It's like you kept wondering whether or not you didn't stop thinking you should, like that kind of thing. So yeah, for sure. Great picks.
Thank you. I was just, sorry, Jackson. I was just quickly saying, sorry, Tracy. I was just quickly saying there. So like you probably heard, but I like haven't seen the film like Independence Day, but I trashed that, and on The Fly. Rent The Fly. Sorry, I still love The Fly, but I have to rent The Fly and then add on Jurassic Park because it's just one of the absolute greatest films out there. Absolutely love it.
Yes, the one only good thing about having a very small apartment is that I can mute it and hear everyone, and so I was catching up with you there for sure. Thanks for letting me know, though. Yeah.
Oh yeah, no worries.
And Jackson, did you go? You didn't go yet, though.
No, Sam just went. Yeah.
Cool.
So let's see. It's really tricky. I think I would probably own The Fly. But it's funny. I don't know if I would rewatch The Fly more than Jurassic Park just because it's so sad. But I just love that performance from Jeff Goldblum so much, and yeah, it is really it's just a really emotional film to experience. So I'd probably go with that, and then Jurassic Park, very close. I would definitely rent it. I love watching it with a group of friends and just seeing like how and just chatting with everybody the whole time about how little it's aged, both in like the ideas of it and also just in like the way it incorporates practical effects with CGI and all that. It's just fantastic. And Jeff Goldblum, of course, is amazing. And then it's not because I don't like Independence Day. I do like it, but I'll put that third. I hate to say I would trash it because it's fun, but it's but yeah, and it's still a fun, like it's dumb, but it's a fun like summer blockbuster. And I wish kind of you got movies like on that scale nowadays. But yeah,
those are all super valid reasons, and I mean, the only reason I'm doing this, and I know people are not going to love it, but I've actually never seen The Fly, and I'm making it a point to watch it this spooky season. So I'm going to rent The Fly. I'm going to own Jurassic Park and then trash Independence Day, even though I love that movie. So sometimes it's just really tough choices to make.
Yeah, even though I was thinking of going with that order, because even though I like The Fly maybe a little bit more than Jurassic Park, I would probably want to watch Jurassic Park more often, because again, The Fly is so sad. So,
oh, well, I'm in for a treat then. I'm really excited to see it. It should have been I can't believe I've waited so long. So now we've got 3 different choices of Stephen King film adaptations: Misery, 1408, and Carrie.
That's tough.
Cool.
You want me to go first, or?
Yes, you go first,
Okay.
since Sam went first last time.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Carrie is definitely one of my favorite Stephen King adaptations. It's one of my favorite Brian De Palma films. Just rewatched it a couple months ago, actually, and it just holds up so well. So I think I would go with Carrie. I would own Carrie. Definitely would rent Misery, because that was really kind of like one of the earliest horror movies I think I saw, and that I think I've heard that's the case for a lot of people. Is like it's it's like maybe it's not the most like violent movie ever, even though there's some pretty crazy stuff that happens in it. But yeah, it was kind of a gateway to horror for me, so it'll always hold a special place in my heart for that. And Kathy Bates is amazing. And then I haven't seen 1408, so I guess I've got to trash that.
And how about you, Sam?
Yeah, that is it. Well, I would say Carrie, Misery. Oh, that is a tough one, because I absolutely love both of them movies, and it's so funny. Carrie, I'm actually going to see on the big screen this weekend, part of the Tyneside Cinema Halloween All Nighter, where I'm seeing 4 movies in one night. So I'm gonna be there like from like sort of 10:30 at night till 7:30 in the morning.
Oh wow!
That's crazy, yeah. But yeah, first time I'm doing one of those like all nighters, and to like sign it off with like Carrie, that's got to be really great. And but yeah, going to be great to see that on the big screen. So I would probably just go on Carrie, but Misery's like definitely not too far behind. I probably would rent like Misery, and like Misery, I absolutely love. You know, it's got that really wintry like atmosphere about it, and excuse me, sorry about that. And just some great like acting as well, some very riveting scenes, and just some great like tension building. Absolutely superb film. And I've never seen 1408 like Jackson there, so I'm probably would just trash 1408. Not because I don't want to and stuff. It is a film that maybe one day I would be open to watching and stuff. But yeah, I'd probably again just go something like
that. It's funny. I also have not seen 1408, but I own it. I've heard like pretty positive things, but because of like just like what you were saying, like I would have to trash it too. And I think Huck is. I'm kind of feeling what Huck's saying. Misery is a must own. Rent, Carrie, and trash 1408. But I feel like you could easily own Carrie and rent Misery. I also both of them. I don't know how rewatchable like either of them are. Like, how many times are you gonna like be like, oh, I want to throw on Misery or Carrie, unless maybe you're showing someone, or you know, they're very heavy movies.
I have seen Carrie like probably 4 or 5 times. Misery, yes. and probably Misery as well, just because I used to watch it on TV as a kid. It really freaked me out the first time, and then I just every time I saw that it was on, I was like, this is like this illicit thing that I'm like really creeped out by, so I have to keep going back to it. It takes place in my home state, actually, Colorado.
Really?
Yeah. It's set. There's a couple Stephen King, like The Shining as well, is set in Colorado. So yeah. they do the snowy like winter cabin thing really well.
Wow. Yeah. Kathy Bates is absolutely horrifying in that, and like their dynamic together is just so good. That's one of like a worst nightmare scenario, I feel like, when you know. Oh,
and Tracy, because you're in New York, right?
Yes.
So I don't know if you would have been, I don't know how long you've lived there, but like about like 10 years ago, there was a Broadway like adaptation of Misery. With do you remember that? Bruce Willis played Paul.
James
Yeah. So I went to New York with my family, and we went and saw it. And I mean, now that we know so much about like Bruce Willis's like like deterioration, like with dementia and stuff. That's why. But he was not great in the show. I heard that he was like having his lines fed to him and stuff like that. So I just thought that was interesting to bring up.
No, it feels like when you're watching Misery that it could easily be a play. And I can see why they cast him in that for the production. It's, sometimes, and this is different, like Al Pacino, it doesn't have dementia, but even for him, someone who's incredibly up there in age, he did a play recently where he definitely needed to have like an earpiece in, and just because he's like 85 or something like that, you know what I mean? So sometimes that happens, but if it's like a mega star, they're fine doing that.
I will say, I think Laurie Metcalf was playing Annie Wilkes. She was great. So there's, it could definitely be like a good stage play.
Yeah.
And you can have fun casting that too. I bet Laurie Metcalf was phenomenal in it. Here we are. Let's just see real quick. Max says Stephen King is the most unique individual. Love his cameos. I guess he does make cameos sometimes. But I don't know.
He's done it in like the new It movies, or at least like the second one, right?
Oh yeah,
He's in like the bicycle shop or something. Have you guys ever seen Sam? I think you probably have, but the trailer he did for the movie that he directed. What was that called? Maximum Overdrive. So he did some kind of promotion for that, and it's like one of the most unhinged like promotions I think I've ever seen. Like you can tell that he was doing coke at the time. Like when he was, it's very funny.
Yeah. Have you seen that one, Jackson? Sorry, Tracy.
No,
I haven't seen it. I've heard interesting things, but I haven't seen. I am really curious to check it out because again, it's like one of my favorite trailers ever. But have you seen it, Sam?
Yeah, Sam, have you seen it?
I haven't. I've heard it's not meant to be great. I mean, again, I'd probably be just still going be open-minded, and I'll possibly see what it's all about. It's probably again falls into maybe that category of just movies to watch with maybe a couple of friends and have a few drinks around. Maybe I've not really looked inside. I haven't even seen the trailer to the film. So if I was to maybe watch that movie, probably try and go into it completely blind sort of thing. And I was going to say as well, because I'm trying to think, was it I think Jackson might be able to correct me here. What was it, Jackson? Was it the one or two exceptions that Stephen King really liked, that movie adaptation? Was it Salem's Lot, one of them, the new Salem's Lot that's out at the minute?
Oh, I don't know what he had to say about that. I also don't know what he thinks about the Toby Hooper version.
I'm not too sure because he absolutely loved the movie adaptation of The Shining. And I can sort of see why, because the film has a different sort of layer and scale to his book, which I absolutely love his book. The book for The Shining is absolutely fantastic as well. And the film adaptation is like my favorite horror movie ever. Absolutely great. And it's the only Stephen King novel I've read as well. So he's an author I feel like I need to give a bit more time to as well. And my brother Chris, who you met as well, Tracy, he's like a big Stephen King fan. So I definitely need to take some recommendations from him.
Yeah, the Maximum Overdrive is not considered to be a good movie, and that's like Stephen King. Stephen King is like, I never wanted to direct ever again after that. But it's very fascinating to see, and you should just throw it on with no expectations and just, you can feel what Stephen King was feeling while he was making it. I have to bring this up. King of the Mantes. This is a really good idea, and I'm going to keep track of these because it'll also make my life slightly easier. If people in the chat like to come up with their own, themes for this game, because he did say earlier, NFG with the deep cuts, the options have been more about relationships with the IPs, director and actor than the films themselves. Yeah, I like to do different categories. So I wrote this down, and so maybe next week or one of the weeks, but probably next week it'll be easier for me to keep track of whoever my guests are, I will have them answer this for you.
That's a good
Thank
idea.
you so much for participating with that. I love that. Cool. So then Justin Patton says, own, carry, rent, misery, trash 1408, even though I like it. Yeah, I think that's kind of the consensus here. So this is all of the Cornetto trilogy with Edgar Wright and Simon Pegg, and I'm blanking out on the other guy's name, but you guys know who I'm talking about. This is really tough. So
Nick
Shaun
Frost.
of the Dead, Hot Fuzz. Yeah, Nick Frost. Thank you. And The World's End. Own, rent, or trash?
Did you want me to go first, Tracy or Jackson?
You go first, Sam. I think I went first last time.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, no worries. Oh, I absolutely love Shaun of the Dead. I'm going to have to go on Hot Fuzz. Absolutely love that film. It's the film I've seen the most times out of the Cornetto trilogy, so I would have to go on Hot Fuzz. Just, like probably one of my favorite comedy films. I would even go as that far to say as well. Absolutely love it. And then I think I would rent Shaun of the Dead. Absolutely love it still, but it's not one I've gone back to as often as I have done with like Hot Fuzz. And The World's End is my least favorite, but I still really, really like it. But I probably would have to, trash like The World's End and stuff. But it is a really, really class trilogy of films right there. So yeah, really good stuff. I'll go with something like that there.
How about you, Jackson?
This is torturous. So I know which one I'll own, and that's Hot Fuzz. That has my favorite joke in any Edgar Wright movie, which is it's just the Timothy Dalton standing next to his own picture that looks identical to the expression he's making. And then the bad boys too. It's so much good stuff in that. In terms of the it's so difficult. Maybe I might rent The World's End. I made something about. I think I like Shaun of the Dead and The World's End about the same. There's just something about that premise of like old, like friends who are like disconnected for a while. A lot of them have kind of grown up, and then there's like one that's kind of still the way he was when he was younger, out on this pub crawl, and then they have to deal with this sort of alien invasion. It reminds me actually a little bit of They Live. But in the way that They Live is making fun of like consumerism, this is making fun of just like getting old and becoming boring, basically. So yeah, I'll go with rent that one. And then I hate to say I would trash Shaun of the Dead because I love it. It's also super fun, and it is fun to see like kind of the earliest or maybe not the earliest version because he did other stuff, but like the earliest like film version of Edgar Wright's directing. Yeah, really fun as well. It's just my probably third out of the three.
Yeah, I love your arguments for all of these. My problem is I haven't seen The World's End. So and it sucks because I love Shaun of the Dead and I love Hot Fuzz. Hot Fuzz is my favorite as well, as you guys were saying. So I would probably do Hot Fuzz, rent The World's End just so I could see it, and I just rewatched Shaun of the Dead recently, and it still really holds up. It's such a good movie, but I'm gonna have to trash Shaun of the Dead just because of my circumstances. But I'm really looking forward to seeing The World's End. I feel like after rewatching Shaun of the Dead, I'm like, okay, I have to make this a priority to watch that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Have you seen? Sorry, Tracy.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
I'm just quickly going to say because I think it was Simon Pegg, and I forget the actress's name in it. They were both in that TV series from Edgar Wright called it was that sitcom called Spaced, which that was pretty good actually. I've seen a few episodes.
That's what I was thinking of. It's like that's the stuff he had done before. Yeah.
Have you seen it, Jackson?
I haven't seen it. I've heard mostly good things though, right?
Yeah, it's pretty good. I quite like that.
I'm going to just go back here so I can bring up Hux. He says, I love this trilogy. Go right down the list. Own Shaun, rent Fuzz, and Fuzz. Watch, then hide the disc for World's End inside Hot Fuzz. Trash the case and don't tell anyone. That's a good way to get around. That's a good loophole, Huck. I really like that. And then it's too hard to pick between Shaun of the Dead and Hot Fuzz. Really, both really good films. Yeah, it is tough. I've watched Hot Fuzz so many times though. It's just anytime someone's never seen it, I'm like, okay, you have to watch this as soon as possible. So I'll like force people to watch it at that point with me. So I'm going to keep doing this until any of these movies come out because I think it's a very interesting time for Marvel. And we don't really know a lot about a lot of these. None of them have been out. So this is coming from a perspective of like, okay, what do I think I'm going to like the most? What do I have the most like hope for? If you're scared about any of them because you don't want them to be bad, but you might think that they're bad, like that can all play a factor. So we have Thunderbolts, Brave New World, and Fantastic Four. So I'll let you go first.
Okay, I'll probably go. And so it's funny. I actually haven't seen any of the. I'm behind on a lot of Marvel stuff, but I haven't seen any of the Marvel Captain America movies. I've only seen the '90s Albert Pyun one, which is an interesting experience to like compare that to what those movies look like now. But I do want to watch those, and so I guess for that reason, I'll probably put Brave New World as the number as the own, and then I don't really know much about Thunderbolts, or maybe I'll say rent Fantastic Four just because they've never been good, but I'm at least curious to see what they would do with another one, and then trash Thunderbolts. So just what is Thunderbolts actually?
I've not heard of this.
Well, okay, that's that. I love that both of you are like, what is this movie? Because I live in a bubble with the people that I stream it with, and all we do is talk about, like, mostly we talk about Marvel stuff, and we're so curious about what's going to do well. So the fact that you guys don't know is not terrible because it's not coming out till like I think next May, I believe, or something like that. Maybe after. I think they keep changing what's coming out first, but Brave New World I think is coming out in February. And then I think Fantastic Four has a July 4th release, but we haven't gotten a full trailer for that at all. But we have gotten Thunderbolts. It's kind of like a ragtag team with Florence Pugh's character from Black Widow with a bunch of other characters. Also, Bucky is also in it from Captain America. So yeah, this is so funny. I love that you guys both don't know what it is. That's great. So
we're kind of more in like the horror, like we like a lot of like a wide variety of movies, but I would say like horror's like both of our niches for a lot of things. So maybe we're a little behind on the Marvel stuff.
No, but that's not anyone's fault except for Marvel's fault. So that's goes to show. And like this is perfect to say. Whoops, not that one. If all four of these fail, he meant to say 3. Marvel's cooked because that's true. It's an entire year and we have 3 movies next year. We only had 1 this year, Deadpool, Wolverine. So we'll see. Sam, I'd love to hear your thoughts.
I'll just quickly say this, Tracy, and I've said this on a few streams. Like, my love for Marvel has really come to like a bit of a dead end in recent years. And don't get me wrong, it's not to take away from the MCU like the past years, because there was some absolute home runs, but I feel it can just be a little bit jarring and a little bit overload. Like there's just loads like TV series and like other stuff like that, and the films recently have not been like the best quality. However, I think the strength would be like the odd sort of like home run that comes out. Obviously, we had Guardians 3 last year, and I've not seen Deadpool and Wolverine. I feel like I'm missing out big time there.
Yeah.
So I've heard it's really great, Tracy. So I think the strength, if they've got like at least one really good movie that comes from Marvel per year, that's probably enough to keep it going and stuff, and people going to support their cinemas to see it, which is great. I would say probably, because I don't mind the original Fantastic Four from 2005. I think it's just an all right 5 out of 10 sort of movie. It's decent. It's okay. And Silver Surfer, I grew up with that one. I didn't mind it when I first watched it. So yeah, the less said about the 2015 reboot, the better. And
Ant Four Stick.
Yeah, I was really not a fan of that movie, man. Well, you weren't one, you Jackson.
I actually haven't seen that one. Yeah, but I just like that the title that they did where they replaced the A with the 4, so it's just four stick. Yeah.
What?
That's how you should pronounce it according to the trailer or according to the poster.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It wasn't one of the worst movies I've ever seen, mate, but it wasn't good in my personal opinion. Definitely not. But yeah. So I think Fantastic Four. I think the cast is looking really good, and there's been some like that. I think it's got a really good idea premise behind it. So I think I will go with Fantastic Four. And I think Brave New World. Again, I don't really know much about that. I think that's one I'm kind of going into completely blind sort of thing. So I probably would rent Brave New World and Thunderbolts. I'd probably just trash like Thunderbolts. So probably just something like that.
Well, I love these answers. They're phenomenal. I'm still at the point where I'm probably going to own Fantastic Four just because I like what they're doing with the retro futurism 60s vibe space age thing. I'm hoping it's good. I like the production design from what I've seen so far. Looks pretty good. Rent the Captain America Brave New World, and then because Harrison Ford looks like he's actually not phoning it in, it looks pretty good. But we'll see. It might be a disaster because I've heard a lot of production problems recently. So, and then trash Thunderbolts. But this changes weekly for me. So, but thank you guys
I've
so
seen
much.
You've asked it on your last couple of streams for this. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay. Cool.
Just to I guess you just want to get different people's opinions on this because it's like like a current like trending topic for Marvel.
Yeah.
I absolutely do. And that's why I loved that both of you didn't know about Thunderbolts, because I love that so much, because it just shows like, because you guys are both super into movies, which is, why you're on here and why you talk about movies. But like if they're not getting to just the simple demographic of someone that likes to go to the movies, I mean, there's a lot of people that don't, and they'll go once a year. But if they haven't captured you guys at all yet, I know it's still early, but they've released trailers, so I feel like they're just not doing a good job then.